The southeast of England has stormed the building protesting the election result. The fear of further violence around Inauguration Day has left little time to think about the president's legacy or indeed what lies ahead for the country. President-elect Joe Biden will be sworn in on Wednesday, and as well as fighting COVID, he faces the huge task of reuniting the United States. Well, we can speak now to the Republican strategist Erin Elmore and David Tafuri, who was a foreign policy advisor on the Obama campaign. Very warm welcome to both of you. I know it's early morning your time. David, to you first. I mean, this is going to be an inauguration like no other. What can we expect?
Well, first of all, here in Washington, D.C., it feels quite different. We have a large military presence on the streets, many of the streets.
We understand, I know that you know the Trump family. We understand that President Trump is going to be in Florida during the inauguration. What do you think will be going on in his mind?
He'll probably be happy to have left the swamp and the hostile media and journalists who have treated him so poorly and unfairly over the last 4 years. I really see, hopefully, a new chapter for America. And we know that Joe Biden has called for unity, but what I would say is actions speak louder than words. We've already heard him talk about the protest that happened on January 6th, and then immediately he talked about race and played identity politics and said it would have been different if it were BLM. So I really don't see that as a call for unity. Moreover, there are talks of an impeachment trial against President Trump as soon as he gets in office. I don't see that as unifying in any way, shape, or form.
This is a difficult one, isn't it, David? I mean, people often talk about the first 100 days of somebody's presidency. There's going to be a clamour for this, for Senate to potentially convict him in this impeachment trial, but yet he needs to focus the country on unifying and getting his agenda out there. How do you think he's going to play it?
It's going to be somewhat tough for President-elect Biden.
What happened in the Capitol?
David's completely wrong. I'm actually an attorney who went back and read Brandenburg versus Ohio, the leading case on incitement yesterday from 1969. And nothing that the president said is inciting. There's actually an amazing article by Jeffrey Scott Shapiro, who is known as the protest prosecutor. He actually said there's no incitement. And the president's words, if you read them, they said, we are going to fight much harder. We are going to cheer on our brave senators. What I would advise is everyone go read Brandenburg. As an attorney, I did it again. I've done it in law school, and I've done it again. And in Brandenburg, he was a gentleman, not a gentleman, but a man who called for violence against blacks and Jews. And what this person said is, it is possible, wait, hold on. He said that we are going to have to seek revenge. And guess what the Supreme Court of our great country said?
Erin,
that's not incitement.
You're an
attorney.
You
guys are just wrong. It's factually and legally completely inaccurate.
Erin,
so
you're an
just read that
attorney.
case instead of spouting up like a talking head on television.
President Trump has sought representation from Rudy Giuliani, who said that he was encouraging trial by combat. I mean, what do you make of comments like that? And should he be sort of distancing himself from Rudy Giuliani?
First of all, everyone is entitled to the right to counsel, so I have absolutely no comment on that. I think that we should stick to facts, and the facts are that there was no incitement. This is a Charlottesville very fine people hoax part 2 and another attempt to mar the president's legacy. What I would say to everybody watching or listening or who doesn't like the president, what you all have to realize is that Donald J. Trump was the 45th president of the United States. You cannot change that. It is not going away. For now, at least, it appears that Joe Biden has won. Whether it's free or fair is for everyone to decide on their own. Why don't we move on with some winning and some happiness and some unity, as opposed to constantly tar and feather the 45th president of the United States? This has all occurred. He won. It is time to move on. And by the way, something that David also didn't mention, which perhaps he doesn't realize, is if an impeachment trial goes on, none of the other business in Washington gets to occur during that time.
Yeah, let's bring David in on this, Erin, because it's an important point. I mean, Joe Biden will have his own policy agenda, won't he? And he's got the White House, he's got Congress, but he's only got one seat, hasn't he, in Senate. He's going to have to play some pretty consensual politics, isn't he?
That's correct. He absolutely is going to need support from Republicans to pass his agenda. Remember, President-elect Biden is an experienced legislator. He was in
The Republican Party moving on from here. I mean, do you see a split? Do you see it splitting from Trump supporters, or how does it evolve now?
Trump was part of a great populist movement. I really hope that movement for the people continues. But I would like to comment on David's point when he talked about Joe Biden being an excellent legislator. If you think that Bill Clinton's crime bill, which prosecuted and convicted and jailed more African-American men than any sitting president in the history of our country, is good legislation, wow, then you must be a massive racist. Because Bill Clinton's crime bill that Joe Biden was the most fervent supporter of was one of his most famous pieces of legislation. So let's not let the American people or people across the world forget about that legislation.
I don't really want to get into mudslinging and name calling here, Erin. I mean,
no, that's a fact.
President Trump was thinking very much about his legacy, wasn't he? In his last speech, where he's standing in the Alamo there, he wanted to focus people's minds on what he has done in terms of immigration. What is his legacy, would you say?
It matters not what journalists or left-wing pundits or politicians think of the president. It's what the American people think of him, and his movement changed the world. He was a disruptor in a broken system. He came into this swamp as a man who had no need, financial or otherwise, to be in politics. He spoke to a group of voters, and no, we're not all smelly Walmart deplorables. We are people that care about our country. He awoken these people. He got them to care about politics. These are the people that fly our flag and fight our wars.
So will he run again?
Honest,
will he run again in 2024?
I'm sorry, I was interrupted. I can't hear.
So sorry, I said, will he run again in 2024?
I certainly hope that he does, because all of the journalists on the left and the left-wing politicians, they are just going to lose their mind, and to see them become unhinged once again will be a little bit of a delight.
All right, one just final comment from you, David.
Well, Erin is really out of step with the rest of the country. She has like 2 talking points that were used
all
during
facts.
the campaign. Those talking points aren't really even relevant
Bill Clinton's
anymore.
crime bill? Okay.
I guess she might be sad for the next 4 years and hope that President Trump gets reelected again. But President Trump's record speaks for itself. A record of failure. That's why his approval ratings are so low right now, and it's why even many members of her party, the Republican Party, are very glad that he'll be leaving office. It's why even his vice president didn't support his effort to try to overturn the election.